Welcome back to another episode. Today, I want to take a closer look at Intel Corporation. There are two updates that I think investors should keep a closer eye on. So let's get started with today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So if we start off, we can see, I think the first thing we should look at is year to date. This is a stock that's down roughly 37% on a year to date basis. And unfortunately, this sucks, right? Because the semiconductor market is booming right now. Thanks to the AI race, thanks to the PC market, the data center space spending increasing. Even with all that, Intel is doing bad. And there's a lot of reasonings happening here. First, obviously, the huge competition that they are experiencing in the consumer space from companies like AMD and Qualcomm and Apple in general. And then obviously the amount of competition they're also seeing in the data center server space from a lot of the big tech players and AMD as well. Not only that, this company is spending a lot of money in manufacturing endeavors to build up its manufacturing plants, which though I believe will be, if executed correctly. And right now, things are moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, for Intel and for investors, the manufacturing business is going to take some time to really show its kind of winnings or if it's doing good. And the main reason it's going to take some time is because they need to get customers. But for them to get real customers and to show real products and to even grab more trust of their solutions, they're going to need to have real world examples. And some of the first real world examples are going to be Intel's own chips, like some of their upcoming server CPUs and some of their upcoming consumer CPUs. So if those do well, it's going to continue to put more of a positive direction on their manufacturing technology and their manufacturing push. But like I mentioned, that's going to take some time because first they got to show that, hey, look, things work on their end. After they show that things work on their end, customers are going to say, okay, look, we're going to do it. We're going to join you. And then they're going to design a chip. And it takes some time for a company to design a chip. And after they design a chip, they're going to go to Intel and say, hey, look, can you manufacture this for us? And the manufacturing process also takes time as well. So this is something that could take multiple years before we really start to see a result. Obviously, Intel does have a lot of, they have a nice amount of customers that they already announced. But again, it's going to take some time before we really see the results. And I want to say another thing. One of the things that I think investors are going to be worried about is if everybody's going to be keeping a closer eye on Intel. And if one of those customers has a chip defect, that can drive this stock to go down once we start to get into that manufacturing phase. But that manufacturing phase is still a few quarters, maybe about a year or so out from now. Out of that rant, I want to take a closer look at the two updates that I have right now. Before we go any further, we are now on the road to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you all for the crazy support. So if you haven't and are enjoying the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Finally, if you want to support the channel a little bit more, make sure to check out my special offer at fool.com/Jose. Now back to today's episode. So right now, we did see that the Commerce Secretary says that China ceasing TSMC would be devastating for U.S. economy. And for those that are not familiar, the U.S. Commerce Secretary is Miss Gina Raimondo. I'm just going to call her Gina from now because I do not want to butcher that last name anymore. So Gina, for those that are not familiar, has been the person that has been pushing the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act has been giving money to building, manufacturing stuff here in the United States. So Gina also mentioned that, hey, look, she doesn't see national security as like guns or weapons or all this. She sees it as advanced technology like chips, as AI models, as AI solutions. So Gina, in my opinion, is actually pretty smart. She's doing really good and bringing manufacturing here back to the United States. But by her saying this, I believe this is actually bullish news, in my opinion, for Intel. And you might be wondering, Jose, how could this be bullish news for Intel? At the end of the day, I feel like every politician, no matter where you are, no matter what role you hold, you have some form of motive. And by saying that scenario of China ceasing TSMC would obviously impact the US economy, she's saying that we need to have a backup plan. And that backup plan is having advanced manufacturing here in states. So we already got the CHIPS Act, and we got a lot of companies to continue to invest in manufacturing here in the United States. Intel being one of the biggest players to invest and having multiple manufacturing plants. Now, by saying this, right, building manufacturing plants is one thing, but then being able to run them is a completely thing. And I do believe the United States government is going to need to help subsidize the running of the plants as well. And I think Gina is trying to get a CHIPS Act 2 or another way to continue to have more incentives for either building more plants here or for helping or easing the risk that some of these manufacturing companies are having about building here in the States. So if Intel is already a big player receiving a lot of money, and I've done plenty of episodes in the past how Intel is receiving a nice amount of money for the over from the United States government, then this can help them get even more money if the upcoming years we see a CHIPS Act 2, maybe even a CHIPS Act 3, and the list goes on and on. But right now, with AI being such a big thing, and obviously that's super important for national security, then I think Intel is in the right place to get a lot of money from the government. I'm not saying that that makes Intel a great investment, but it just showcases that, hey, look, if you have at least some form of wiggle room or maybe some form of cushion of why I would invest in Intel, that would be one. The United States government definitely wants to fund Intel to building more manufacturing and make the United States a great place to build advanced semiconductor solutions. So I think that's actually a great thing, and I'm very excited about that. Now, the second thing I want to take a closer look at is there are reports that Intel secures all of ASML's high NA EUV lithography machines set to be built this year. So, for those that are not familiar with ASML, ASML designs these manufacturing equipment solutions that are needed to build the most advanced chips, exactly what Intel is doing here in the United States. Well, to build even smaller chips below 2 nanometers, Intel is focusing on 18A and 14A. You need to have very specialized solutions. And ASML's machines are those solutions. So ASML can only build almost a handful of this a year with their current capacity, and it seems Intel has secured all that. So that really showcased this, that, hey, look, Intel is really taking this manufacturing push really serious. It also might be a way to kind of stronghold all the equipment from maybe some of its competitors and give Intel a bit of a leap head start on really focusing on this technology right now. So if there's another reason that, hey, look, maybe this might be a smart choice, obviously that equipment comes at a very heavy cost. So it's definitely going to burn the bank for Intel. There's obviously some positive reactions that can come from here. So those are the two things I really wanted to take a closer look at here for Intel. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe Miss Gina is just preparing for maybe a CHIPS Act 2 or CHIPS Act 3? Or was there other motives on what she said? The other thing, or what are your thoughts on the ASML machines that Intel has purchased? And was it a smart move that they secured all of the capacity that ASML can make this year? So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.